Hello guys, so in this video we're going to talk about strengths of acids and bases. Now there's basically kind of two categories when we talk about strengths of acids and bases. We have strong acid base and we have weak acid and base. All right, so let's kind of talk about differentiate between the two. And so for a strong acid and base, for an acid or base to be considered strong, it has to completely dissociate in solution and considered to be strong electrolytes. That simply means that when in solution, it can actually conduct electricity very, very well. Okay. Now, weak acids and bases, they partially dissociate in solution. So that means in most cases, some of it do, but most will not dissociate. And they're considered to be weak electrolytes. So that means they won't conduct electricity as well, or the solution will not conduct electricity as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and just talk about how can we model this and what do we mean by dissociating? Like, what does it mean for a strong acid, strong base to dissociate completely or 100%, and for weak acids to partially dissociate, all right? And so what I have here, I kind of drew two models, all right? This showing the difference between a strong acid and a strong base. Okay, so let's a strong acid, strong base, and weak acid, weak base. Okay, now let's look first at our strong acid example. So what I drew here is just an example between what we see on the left side is our strong acid, all right, and the example that we see on the right side, we have ourselves a weak acid, okay? And then bases kind of have the same idea anyways, okay? Now, with strong acids, so like for example, HCl is an example of a strong acid, all right? And so what will happen is that HCl will dissociate to H plus and Cl minus. So what we mean by dissociate is that that molecule will break apart into its individual ions. So this right here is HCl dissociating accordingly, all right? So that's what we mean by dissociate. All right, now in solution, what's going to happen because HCl is a strong acid, meaning that all HCl's are going to dissociate. What you see in the solution out here is that you see nothing but hydrogen ions and chloride ions, all right? Because it completely dissociates 100% of the time. So all strong acids will do this, okay? Now, let's kind of move up to our right side here, and let's look at HF, all right, hydrofluoric acid. Now, what we see here with HF is that HF is what we consider to be a weak acid. Now, weak acids can dissociate, and so it would dissociate to hydrogen ions and fluoride ions. But when we're looking into the solution, what you notice is that few of them will actually dissociate, all right? And most of the HF is actually stay together intact as it is initially or originally, okay? And so that's why we consider HF to be a weak acid because it doesn't completely dissociate. All right. And so let me go ahead and just kind of give you guys a list of all our strong acids and our strong bases because there are actually a lot less strong acids and strong bases, and there's a lot more weak acids and weak bases. So I'm just going to give you a list of strong acids and strong bases, and just assume that everything else, if it's an acid or base, it'll be a weak acid or base. Okay. So for our strong acids, all right, we have. All right, so we have hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid will become hydrogen plus chloride ions 100% of the time, okay? We have hydrobromic acid. All right, same thing. It will become H plus Br minus 100% of the time. All right, we have hydroiodic acid. All right, so same thing here. We have nitric acid. All right, so it'll become hydrogen plus the nitrate ion. Okay, we have sulfuric acid, H2SO4. All right, and so oftentimes it will become H plus HSO4 negative. All right, so that's your sulfuric acid. And then we have perchloric acid. All right, so these guys are all our strong acids, okay? And so everything else, if it's an acid, we could consider it to be a weak acid, okay? Now, as for our strong bases, all right, so in terms of strong bases, we have sodium hydroxide, we have lithium hydroxide, we have calcium hydroxide, and we have barium hydroxide. We also have potassium hydroxide. All right, so these are all our strong bases. And so my expectation is that you make sure you know them, you memorize them. All right. And all the other acids, if they're not in this list of six here, then we could send the weak acids. All our bases, strong bases, if it's not in the list of five here, then we consider them as a weak base. All right.